Greetings everyone, I am the one, the only, the truest Lord Pancake. Accept no substitutes, for they will create game worlds that you can never complete the quest in. So, what are we taking a look at today, you ask? Well, we're going to be taking a look at My World from the game creators, which is a both game and game creator that allows you to share and explore other people's creations utilizing the Steam Workshop. It's a nifty little, very simple tool that you can make to use simple action RPGs with some 3D world building tools built into it that kind of simplifies things a little bit and gives pretty much anyone the access to be able to make their own little creations. So let's take a look real quick and see how this game has actually turned out and see how well it works for people for what it's intending to do. So to start with, this is going to be very similar to how you start up the game. You'll be in what's considered the hub world. In front of you will be the My Worlds portal, which can take you to a few preset worlds that they already created to give you some ideas, maybe a little bit of inspiration, as well as the ability to create a new world and see all the worlds that you yourself have created. Behind you, you will see the settings where you can adjust things like quality and draw distance and so on and so forth. And you can even exit the game by running out the exit portal. This is actually how you exit the game. It doesn't take you out to another menu or anything. You hop to the little portal and you leave the game. It's a neat little touch. It also gives you the ability to change the way your hero looks through some of the different settings. You have the classic fully armored knight, the deadite type of knight, big hammer wielder, the valiant looking knight, and then the bucket knight. I personally like the valiant looking knight myself. Another really neat tool they have in here, and I'll show this to you when we're done looking at the hub world, because it's a little hard to talk while someone else is talking, but they do have tutorials that'll get you through all the basics, and if you have any questions, these are a really good resource to use to get the answers to whatever you're pondering. And the other nice thing is, over here you have Workshop, where you can host, play, or browse the other people's creations that they put up on the Steam Workshop, as well as the guides they themselves have created. In case maybe one of your questions isn't answered here, you can pop into the little portal there and look at the guides that are available. And finally, they have a Create New World portal, where if you just want to run right into start with world creation, you can just hop through that portal. But we're going to go through the big giant My Worlds bubble here and show you what that takes you to. Now, as I had mentioned, it already has several pre-built worlds like the ones you see here. The ones with the little red X's are some worlds that I've kind of played with and thrown together in the time that I've spent with this game. The hub world will take you back to that world we were just in, and then New World will probably pretty obviously let you create your new world. So let's pop on the New World and take a look at how things start and a few of the different options you can have with crafting the worlds that you get with this game. When you first pop into the world, you will be in like the playtesting or play mode for the world. And when you first get there, you'll notice that there isn't a whole lot around. It's like this area is undeveloped. But you, the ultimate urban planner that you are, will build this world. You will make it mighty and fill it with a bunch of whatever you want there. So in order to do that, first thing you're going to want to do is hit escape. And escape will pop you into the editor mode. And when you first look at the editor, you'll notice in the left hand you'll see some tools, on the right hand you'll see some more tools, and then on the bottom of the screen you'll see even more tools that you can use. Now, if you, at first glance, this might be a little confusing, and if you are wondering like what to do to get started, if you hit F1, it gives you a few quick little basic descriptions of what each of these buttons does for you. And it's also really useful if you ever forget. You have things that let you do like alterations to the existing landscape, as well as change the color and so forth. You have things that let you add to the existing landscape, like you can do a mountain step here, and if you hold shift you can drag out multiple of the same object. You can do swirly bigger mountains, and you can use the mouse wheel to zoom out a little bit, as well as the mouse to angle, and then direction. Your WSAD keys give you a little bit of control as well. If you hold shift and R, you can rotate, so you have different objects facing different ways, and you can pop that down there. That gives you like a little winding cliff. You can also do things like a mountain. And that'll pop down that mountain there, and you see how those two things kind of merge together there, which is kind of neat. It does help things blend. And if you wanted to, you could even take the brush, and we'll press F1 to get the tools out of the way there, and use like this here. And you can even paint them for the colors to match a little bit. But it looks like I need to go maybe a little bit different color. And you'll even be able to actually paint the mountain because it is a landscape. And anytime you do like shifts and things like that, it will change everything with it. So you can change things if you want them to match up and make it look a little bit better. Next option you're going to see is you can do themes. So if you just wanted to turn into like clear night, so now this is going to look like clear night, and a lot of what you see isn't going to get the full effect until you hit escape and go back into your play mode, because some of the atmospheric things like fog might impair your ability to see what you're designing, so they make that to where it doesn't show up until you actually go into the world. Next thing you'll be able to do is you'll be able to set up, and this is one of like the really cool things, is first thing you want to look at is your spawn pad, and that is where your character spawns into the world when you first enter it. When you come in through a portal, this is where you will spawn, and whichever spawn pad is the last spawn pad you put down will be the world that will be where you start off at. So if I put one here and then one over here, the character will always pop out right there. And if you want to create like events in the world, say you start off here and your event is up here, and you want the character to spawn there if they die, you can use a campfire to set up like checkpoints and things like that. So little things that the creators have thought of to help the gameplay go a little bit better. And then this is where some of the things the game really shines. These things are portal ruins. You put down a portal and zoom in a little bit here, and you click on it, and you can link it to some of the preset worlds or any of the other worlds you've created. So you can have one world linked to another world and have that world linked to yet another world, and so on and so forth. So you can do some actually pretty big things using the different portals and things like that. Then they have things like your quest items, so you can drop these items down, and you know what? Actually, funny thing is, I was working on doing this review just yesterday actually, and I said, I hope to see in the future they put some more different types of objects into the world, different types of this and that. Before yesterday, this stopped at pages. Since yesterday, they've already added in new multiple items. So that to me is a very good sign of one of the few things I said that I was going to say could improve on this game is a little more variety in some of the things. And lo and behold, it's made it clear to me they're already obviously working on that. And that's awesome. So you got a little distracted there. But anyway, these objects you can use to like create quest items. So you have because you'll be able to put quest givers in the world, and they might have, collect 3 treasure chests, and you can do, your 3 treasure chests. We'll just go, forgot to hold down shift, 1, 2, 3. 3 treasure chests, and I can later on put a quest giver that says to go fetch those 3 chests. Then you have things like your trees and your different things like that, and different ones that can match to your different atmospheres, and they can be used just for aesthetics, like these ones here where it looks like you're having like a nice little forest going, or even some of the other ones, like this one here on one of my worlds, I use to help build a path to guide the player around. And you can use things like that to make a more natural, foresty looking path and things like that. Then you have like walls and fences, and you even have a few nifty little presets like, actually, is that one in buildings? You know what, that one is in the building, so get back to that one. But you have a few different things like closed gates, open arches, more fancy looking things that you might be able to use for like a gothic theme. So a few good pieces to start building, and then other wall pieces that you can use. And then just like everything else, just like all the objects, you can rotate these around. Shift and R rotates it 90 degrees, but if you just hold R, it'll slowly rotate. That way you're free to build in whatever direction you need. So if you wanted to create something that's not exactly the best design, but something like that there, you would be able to without having to worry about having it at an exact 90-degree angle and things like that, because you can put it at whatever angle you need. And all the basic tools, buildings and so forth and so on. And one of the neat things also they do here is if you put down a building and you zoom inside, I over zoomed, it can be a little bit tricky to get the camera to work at first, but eventually you'll get used to it. But we need a little light, so we'll toss a little light in here, maybe throw this table down and a barrel, even though that barrel is facing the wrong way, and then we'll do one of those quest givers. Like I said, we'll take NPC 5 here, and you know what? They've added in another type of quest giver too, or NPC, because you can just have them kind of standing there without a quest or anything like that. But if you click on this person, you can say, okay, collect. We'll say, yeah, 3 chests. And then you can do like dialogue in it. And, you know, and that can be the quest. So when you start out the world, you can actually run in, and this will be the quest you get, and you can go and grab the quest. And they also have other aesthetic things. Some stuff is just like wall decorations and so forth, and shells. And one of the nice things that they thought of when they came up with this game is, let's say I want to relocate the house. Let's see, my last spawn pad I put down was over here. I can click on that, and I can drop it like right next to the spawn pad. So I spawn right before it, and I can just run in there and get the quest. Everything I put in the house is now attached to it, so it moves with it. So it keeps it very simple, keeps it working. And then you can also you have different type of bad guys, and you have basically 3 levels of monsters in the game. You have your regular monsters, you have your elite monsters, and then you have your boss monsters. And you actually, technically 4, there's an elite boss type of monster, and you can put those down in the worlds and do different like challenges and things like that. So we could have this, and have waypoint markers and things like that, and various things. Put down, you know, that monster out. Even though that's a little close to the spawn pad, we'll just take a look so you can kind of get a look at the combat too, which is an area I hope to see a little bit of improvement in. Sometimes it feels like you'll lose control of your character a little bit, but you do get used to the combat, but it's something that maybe takes a little bit too much getting used to. Like, you have your roll ability there. If you press tab, it locks onto the enemy, and then you start circling them, and you can roll to dodge. Your left click is something you can string together a combo with. Right click gives you a more powerful swipe that throws you forward a little bit. Well, about that far, a little bit further than just that. Then you have 4 different special attacks, or special abilities, I should say. One is a swirl. Number 2 will stun normal enemies, except for it won't work on elites, but it does work on normal enemies. 3 is a shield, and 4 is kind of like a boss boost sort of power there. Okay, so I went in and I created this lady's quest over here, so I can walk up to her, press U. I'm poor. Fix it. That's her quest. Okay. Now, obviously, that's not a very good quest, because how the heck are you supposed to know that she wants the treasure chest? And I put the treasure chest way away from where I should have. But there they are. We can see them off in the distance there. And I'm just going to run and grab these 3 quests, and I can return them to her. And that will complete the quest chain. And you can actually have up to 8 different quests for each person. And I press the healing potion because E has you use your healing potion or the alt button. And checkpoints will restore your healing potion. So that's something worth noting too. Now, running also takes up your stamina. You see the little bar underneath the red, which every time you roll and so forth, it uses up a little bit of your stamina. But okay, I've collected her 3 quests. I can go to her now, hit U again, and complete the quest. Now there are some, so that is like the basics of this game. And what are my thoughts on it? My thoughts on it are this. It's very simple. It's very basic. What it reminds me the most of, and a little story about young Pancake here. When I was really little, I was sick a whole lot. Like 12, 13, I was in and out of the hospital, asthma, pneumonia, all this stuff. So I didn't get to do a whole lot of outside stuff. But what I did have was a Super Nintendo and a copy of Mario Paint. And what I did with that copy of Mario Paint, it was very similar to this. It was a very bare bones, very stripped down, easy to pick up. Anyone could use a type of tool where you could do like pictures or short little like 30 frame animations, not 30 frames per second, but a maximum of 30 frames or something like that animations. What I did with that is I used it in a VCR and I made a half an hour long cartoon at 30 frames of animation. I just strung together the 30 frame after 30 frame after 30 frame to make a half an hour long cartoon. Was there other tools that might ultimately, once they were learned, make it easier? Were there other tools that might have made something that looked a little bit nicer and ran a little bit smoother? Of course, and that day there most certainly were. But learning to use the tools that I had there, the tools that were provided with Mario Paint, I was still able to accomplish something great. And that is what I see happening with my world. It is very bare bones. It is very stripped down. It is pretty basic. There are some things like enemy pathing and level scaling I'd like to see maybe added in at some point, where you could actually set the levels of the enemies and so forth and so on. Some things like, I noticed that if you have a quest in one realm and the quest item in the other, it doesn't quite register over to the quest in the first world that you made. I'd like to see things like that added in. But all in all, it's very easy to pick up. I could see people who learn to use the tools, which I learned how to use, really pick this thing up and use it in maybe an hour. It really doesn't take you long to explore the tools and see what they do and start getting your ideas and having them go from thought to product, thought to actually a little project that you can actually even start to see your work coming together. And to me, that's great. I mean, this isn't something that's out there for like dedicated game developers who have learned mechanical script, all the game scripting and all that stuff. This is for people that kind of want to explore and play around. Maybe want to throw together like a fun little arena for people to be able to go into. I could see people doing like a central world where, you go through the first world, you do some quests in that world, and then you take a portal to the next world, and that next world is bigger and has more challenges, a few more quests, things like that, more enemies, more elites, more boss types. Go to the next world, maybe they have more, like, they set up like mazes and things like that using the details, and those are all possibilities that you can totally accomplish with this tool. And a lot of people, I think, could have a lot of fun putting stuff out there, especially since it's so well integrated into the Steam Workshop. You don't have to sign into like a weird third-party thing to get access to it or anything like that. If you have a Steam account, you can build, you can share, you can explore. It keeps it simple, it keeps it friendly, and sure that you may not be able to do something as complex as you can do with something like a RPG Maker, but the more complex the tool, usually it's the harder it is to learn. And if, again, I think it feels like the goal of this game is to give people something that simple, easy to use, pick up, and enjoy. And it accomplishes that 100%. Normally it is $14.99 on Steam. Right now it is on sale for $11 and something until the 24th of March. So if you're even curious about it, that is a very small asking price for what I think is a very good product. It's well worth your time, well worth your money if you're even curious at all with like seeing what you could do if you were given tools to build and create your own type of worlds. Go for it. You will not be disappointed with this one. Even if you don't get used to the tools, you're probably going to have some pretty fun worlds out there already to enjoy in the Steam Workshop. And those are my thoughts on my world. If you liked the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. You're always welcome to share with your friends, and I encourage you to comment below if you have anything to say. And as always, make sure you have yourself a great day, and thank you for your time.